It was supposed to be a simple, late-night delivery. But by the time he reached the house, nothing about it felt alive. And what waited inside should not have been there at all. You're watching Whispers of the Unknown, real stories told in the dark that you'll carry with you long after they end. Subscribe and listen closely. The pizza delivery that went wrong. John was a college student in a small city, trying to make ends meet with a part-time job at a pizza shop. It was a Friday night around 1 a.m. Closing time. John was ready to clock out when the shop phone rang. He hesitated before picking up. At that hour, calls usually meant drunk customers or prank orders. But when he answered, a man's voice, low, almost whispering, placed an order for 4 large plant-based pizzas. 4 pizzas meant a big tip, and John needed the money. So he took the order, even though it was way past closing. The address was far, on the edge of town near the forest. By the time he set off, the streets were nearly empty. Streetlights faded away, replaced by a dirt road lined with wild, overgrown trees. The darkness was so complete, his headlights barely carved out a path. After nearly 20 minutes, he found the address. A tall, old house deep inside the woods. No lights, no sound, no movement. It looked abandoned. The kind of house you'd expect to find in an urban legend. He considered calling his manager to explain and turn back. But when the manager didn't answer, not after several tries, John decided to at least walk up and knock. If no one came, he'd leave. The moment John stepped closer, a single light flicked on inside. Relieved, he rang the bell and called out, "Pizza delivery!" No answer. He rang again. This time, faint footsteps echoed from inside, but the door stayed shut. John turned to leave, and the door creaked open on its own. Inside, the hallway was dimly lit. Nobody was there. He called out again. Still nothing. Then, a cat darted across the hall and vanished into a side room. The moment it did, the lights in that room came on, and a television began playing. Children's laughter spilled into the hall. Confused, John stepped inside. In the room, 2 little girls sat on the floor, staring at him without blinking. John tried to explain. He'd been knocking. No one had answered. He asked if there was an adult who could take the order and pay. They didn't move, didn't speak, just kept staring. And then their eyes turned pure white. Their silence cracked into a sharp, unnatural laugh. Both girls slowly raised their hands and pointed toward the door behind John. He turned. A woman stood in the doorway. Her face was pale, her eyes as black as the space between stars. John froze. The pizza boxes slipped from his hands and hit the floor. The air grew heavy, thick, hard to breathe. He stumbled backward, broke into a run, and fled to his bike. At the door, the woman and the 2 girls stood together, watching him. John sped away, heart pounding. But after a few minutes, his bike sputtered and died. The rear tire was flat. He pulled out his phone to call the police. While waiting, he glanced at the rear view mirror. They were there. The woman, the 2 girls, standing in the road, watching him. And then they began to walk toward him. John abandoned the bike and ran into the forest, weaving between trees until he collapsed behind a large trunk, chest heaving, whispering desperate prayers. In the distance, a police siren wailed. He pushed himself up and ran back toward the road. When he reached his bike, police officers were inspecting it. He told them everything and led them back to the house. Inside, they found nothing. No woman, no children, just a stray cat. The next morning, John learned the truth. 3 years earlier, a woman and her 2 young daughters had lived there until they were all murdered. The case was never solved. Since then, locals claimed their spirits still lingered in the house. John never went back. He quit his delivery job soon after, and even now, years later, he can't talk about that night without shaking. If you had been in John's place, would you have stepped inside that house?